and welcome to another episode of Double D's. Let's talk about it, where we talk sports, current events, everything that's going on in society today. This is your host today, Damien. I'm here with my man D. What's up, D? How you doing, man?
What's up, bro? What's up?
All right, man. I'm doing all right, man. Everything good with you today?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
All right. Well, we're gonna go on and get into it, man. Today we're gonna talk about the AFC South. We're gonna start with Tennessee. I see them as the most urgent team that has the most transition of the four teams in the division, and I see the most needs, the most transition turnover, and that starts with their superstar Derrick Henry. He is a unrestricted free agent now. I just heard actually yesterday there's some possibilities of Baltimore's name being thrown out there now as a possible destination for him too. It was in the news. I know today going into it is franchise tag day too. So just to get your thoughts first on Tennessee, what do you think the move for Henry or the organization as a whole that it pertains to him should be?
If they want to do right by him, let him go see where he can win at. You're gonna have a rookie head coach, pretty much a first year guy, quarterback in Will Levis. 9 times out of ten, we know a new coach normally brings in his quarterback. Um, D Hop's possibly gonna be a free agent.
Mm,
Defensively, with what Vrabel ran,
mm,
this new coach is gonna, I'm sure, switch everything up. So you're really looking at a complete rebuild from the ground up.
mhm.
I'm assuming they're gonna let Derrick Henry test the market, and if I'm Derrick Henry, I'm going somewhere where I can win. I've seen people talk about the Cowboys because he has a house in Dallas and everything. I assume the Ravens. You put Derrick Henry on that Ravens team this year when they play the Chiefs, they're running the ball more than 6 times. Um, a curveball, since we're talking about the AFC South, for me would be to the Houston Texans. They were a
That's
playoff
interesting.
team. They're gonna run the ball. I
Mhm.
really think the Chiefs aren't gonna have the money. The Texans have the money. I think the AFC South, all four of the teams in this division are set pretty much that they got money to spend.
Mm.
So yeah, I think he's gonna be gone, man. What you think?
Man, I also agree, man. I think that this is a transition year for Tennessee. I'm looking at some of the things they need as far as even their salary cap. They're sitting here with the seventh pick in the draft, and in my opinion, I know the number one need right now for them is O line. Will Levis was under a lot of pressure when he finally came in with the situation once they transitioned with Tannehill. I believe he was injured, and they transitioned to Levis. He was under a lot of pressure in the games he played. I would look and expect that that would be their priority first, is to shore up protection for him, and then maybe look for a weapon on the perimeter, a wide receiver or so, because this is a pretty steady running back class. So I think if they're trying to replace Henry, I know they do have a backup. I do not remember his name, but
Spears.
Spears, yeah, yeah, and he was a rookie last year. So
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they can easily transition to him, and then probably look into either free agency or the draft to find a complimentary back to him. But I believe I agree with you though with at this point letting Henry just go find himself a place where he can win to cement that part of his legacy as being a championship, because he hasn't actually been in that position that much in his career. It's been very few times. So yeah, but I with them I wrote down some notes. I know offensive line, wide receiver, and secondary are the three priority needs right now. So with them wanting to build around the quarterback, because you think about it, that's what 2 years straight Tennessee has drafted a quarterback when they took
Mm-hmm.
Willis, and then the very next year they took Levis. So they really do not need to be looking at quarterback right now. You need you because I don't know what was going on in the decision making there. If you didn't like Willis and you ended up drafting Levis the next year, you should have never drafted Willis the year before. It didn't make sense, and it was bad moves by the organization. Um, but I'll close on this for Tennessee. They were 6-11 last year. They have the seventh pick, in your opinion, and I've already added mine, where do you think they go? Do you agree with offensive line, or you think they should go with getting him Levis a weapon?
Now I seen where Brock Bauer said he wants to play for the Titans.
Okay.
Um, that's normally the position that you want to go for as far as a security blanket for your quarterback, especially if he's young. Um, this free agency, you can kind of try to build up some offensive line. Um,
Hmm.
but if they're going to do a complete rebuild, then I'm trading some of those players that I have on defense. Jeffrey Simmons, I believe they just re-signed him, so I don't think it would be financially beneficial for them to trade him. But I
Hmm.
think he's their biggest fish. Him and Harold Landry, I want to say, their edge rusher, especially depending on what you're going to do defensively. But you're gonna have Levis. You're gonna have to get Levis weapons, and like you said, I honestly don't think that this it would be smart for them with the seventh pick for them to get one of the top three signal callers in this draft. They're gonna have to move up,
Hmm.
so you would lose draft capital, and you're gonna have, like you said, I agree. They're gonna have to build around Levis with the front and with the
Hmm.
weapons on the outside. Traylon Burks is not working out. Derrick Henry's a free agent. You could possibly lose. Um,
Hmm.
D Hop, Andre Dillard was a bust at free agent signing at tackle.
Yeah.
So, you know, they do have some younger players on the
Hmm.
offensive line to continue to build that offensive line up. But you got, like I said, yeah, I agree with you, man. To make a short
Okay.
story long, I, I, I agree with you. They definitely need to build up around Levis.
Okay, man. Well, we'll conclude on Tennessee and we'll transition to the Circle City, Nap Town, my old stomping grounds, man. Still got family up there. So I'm not a big Napolis fan as far as the Colts, but this is your squad. Uh, I'm intrigued because they took a quarterback in AR. They have a situation with Minshew where he is a what free agent himself.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I talked to you about this yesterday, and I'll ask you again. Do you think in this situation, just like with Levis, do they go weapons for Levis or do they go protection? I mean, for AR, do they go weapons or do they go protection?
Our offensive line wasn't that bad this year.
Okay.
We still got Quentin Nelson. Uh,
Mhm.
I think I can't pronounce it. Raymond at left
Mhm.
tackle. He played solid this year. We still got
Okay.
Ryan Kelly at center. Will
Mhm.
Fries is at guard, and our
Yeah.
right tackle is Braden Smith. Now there were certain plays throughout the season that you're like, our offensive line ain't playing like they should,
Mhm.
but we've got so much money invested in them, they have to go weapons. And Michael Pittman Jr. is our biggest offensive free agent.
Okay.
So I believe you're going to want to re-sign him or franchise tag him. We have Josh Downs from North Carolina, and
Mhm.
we got Alec Pierce. So we'll need some um, weapons for him.
Mhm.
We got I can't think of the Joker's name. Jelani Woods out of Virginia, big 6'7", 6'8"
Is it
tight
tight
end, but
end?
he
Yeah.
was hurt last year.
Okay.
I would like for Brock Bowers to fall to us.
You
That's
want
what I
that
would like.
weapon. That's the
Yes.
weapon that you want. Okay.
In a dream world, obviously we would get Marvin Harrison Jr. in a dream
Yeah.
world. But if quarterback wasn't as important a position, I think he could be the number one pick.
Okay. Well, I mean, in this particular draft, I think if you're going either tight end or wide receiver and you choose a weapon, this is the better draft than next year to do it because you got a slew of wide receivers. Y'all gonna be able to find a wide receiver and don't have to use. I believe y'all have the 15th pick.
15. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, you wouldn't have to move up to get a Marvin Harrison or you got a Roman Duzier, you got Malik Neighbors, his cohort at LSU, what's his name, Thomas,
Brian Thomas.
Brian Thomas. That's another one. You got Keon Coleman. I mean, you even get a talent like a Ricky Pearsall from Florida. You could probably find him later in the later rounds if you just looking to re-sign Pittman and then add a
Mhm.
complimentary receiver to go along with Downs. Because I look at Downs, he was a promising developing receiver and a good pickup for y'all in the draft. But I look at him as ain't he a little bit on the smaller side, more of your slot
Yeah.
guy. So you
Mhm.
may want to add
He's
another,
one that plays
yeah,
bigger than what he is.
yeah. So you may want to look for another medium-sized build type, that can give you the possession as well as stretch the field a little bit. If you go receiver,
And
and you could find
that's
that.
that's it, right, and that's what Alec Pierce should be for us.
Uh-huh.
I think I want to say Pittman 6'4". I think Alec Pierce is 6'3", but he's
Hmm.
he's fast and he is more of a vertical threat, not really a route technician. But
Hmm.
those three can be something. But with Chris Ballard and the way he works, I wouldn't be surprised if they traded back, especially if one of the main guys that they want isn't there. Keon
Hmm.
Coleman is like, to me, I would comp him kind of to Michael Pittman Jr.
Yeah,
I
I
would,
agree.
you know what I'm saying? I would comp those two are like mirror images of one another, I would say.
Hmm.
You know. Um
Hmm.
I would like to see. I'm really interested in this whole division the division as a whole.
Hmm.
We have everybody except the Jaguars. All of us are operating on a rookie quarterback
Hmm.
contract.
Exactly.
All of us have finances. I would like to see the Colts do some actual free agent hunting because we continue to solidify our defense. Because we had, I want to say, 7 players, 5 or 6
Hmm.
players, maybe with 7 sacks, with at least 7 sacks this year.
Hmm.
Um, but we're young in the secondary. Could lose Kenny Moore, could lose Julian Blackman, could lose Grover Stewart on that defense. We already lost Shaq Leonard, who since that back injury just
Yeah, he's
been
not the
himself.
same.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So
Yeah.
I
Um,
would like to see him spend some money.
that intrigues. I was looking at a list here that I have. I actually have a combine list of the players that are invited to the combine. And I was looking at another name, and this was actually a name. And I had to ask you, did you see Steve Smith give his perspectives on certain receivers? Because I have to
Yes.
sing you that if you had, oh my gosh, he tore my guy Johnny Wilson apart. Said he may be a
Oh
freak
no, no, no. So
only
I
at
have
night,
not seen that. I
but
have not
not
seen
on
that.
the
You got to
field.
send it to me. You got to
Oh,
send
I
it to
will
me.
send it to you. He killed my guy Johnny Wilson. He said you
You
look at
got to
six
send it to me.
seven, 239, and you think freak. This man Steve Smith said, yeah, he may be a freak in the bed, but he ain't on the field. He said he can't tie his shoes and chew gum. It hurt my heart, man. But he threw out a name that I'm gonna bring up for you to keep an eye on, and it was actually Roma Duzier's partner at Washington, Jalen Pope. He said that's a guy that has some dog in him, and he could be a steal.
Yeah.
So I just want to throw that
Washington
name out there.
Washington have 3 wide receivers.
Yes, they
So they
did. It
got
was Duzier
Mc,
Pope,
Mc,
and then it was
McKellen,
yeah. I think it was Jalen McMillan. Jalen McMillan. I think that's
McMillan.
who.
Okay.
Yeah, all
Yes.
three of those jokers was a handful for
Yes.
any
Yes.
secondary to deal with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If this is the year to need a wide receiver.
Yeah.
This is a
I
year to
mean,
need one.
if you could get a player from what I saw in the Senior Bowl and in some of the practices, if you can get a player like a Lad McConkey from Georgia late, he'd be a steal. Because I'm looking at him as a more polished, a little bigger Hunter Renfro with a lot more speed, lot more speed.
And he
And
makes
he's
those
not
big
even.
catches.
You go ahead.
He makes those big catches. He makes those big time catches in big time
Hmm.
situations.
But he
And
also has the ability to. He
yes,
also has the ability to go take short catches the distance.
he's
Hmm.
got speed. I watched him during the Senior Bowl, and everything
Hmm.
that I read about him was he was out there making sure he got separation.
Hmm.
So yeah,
Yeah, man,
I
he's a
think I
good guy.
definitely think he'll be a steal too.
Yeah. Well, anything else you wanted to add about the Colts
No,
before we
make sure you
take
send me
another
that
look?
video.
I will. I'll
Make
send you
sure you
that
send me
video,
that
man.
video.
I'll find it because Steve was he hurt my heart with that one. But speaking of Steve, he's from Florida. We're gonna touch down in Jacksonville, man. Uh Everything I researched about them and some of the things that they need, I know Josh Allen is a free agent and Calvin Ridley. Um it was some ups and downs with them this year because they started so well or started to progress and it kind of tailed off late, and it seemed like it was some of it was the play of Trevor, and you don't know if it's totally just on the weapons he has because Zay Jones, Calvin Ridley, and then they had a third wide receiver, um
Kurt.
that yeah, Christian Kirk. That there was points in the season that they were either unavailable or not healthy and they had to get into their depth. So, but that's not even their biggest issue. Their biggest issue, from what I've been looking at, is their interior of their offensive line. Preferably center. Like center question here I have, man. It was a starter named Luke Furtner, if I can get it right. He had the 10th highest blown block rate amongst his position, with at least 150 snaps.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so it's concerning because not only that, but they also have a Brandon Scherf. He could be released. If they release him, they could save 16 million in that dead, not having that dead money, which would allow them to go towards, once again, like you said, room to add free agents from
Mm-hmm.
most of the teams, if not all teams in that division. So first thing I'll get and I'll ask you is, it looks like interior line, either guard or center, is where they preferably may go with the 17th pick in the draft. And they went 9 and 8, but it was a disappointing 9 and 8 because it could have very easily been, won 12 games,
They
and a lot
lost
of
six
it.
of their last eight.
Yeah, yeah. And but they weren't, how it is in NFL. It wasn't no blowouts. It was a lot of self-inflicted wounds from the Jaguars and a lot of things
Mm-hmm.
they did, but it was also some things where I don't know if Trevor sees ghosts at times. You know how it is in the NFL. These quarterbacks can be studs in college, and it don't take much for those ghosts to start showing up in the backfield at times. And it's time for him to go through that next progression. So you would say he has a weapon at back in Etienne. I know they have a solid tight end and they had good wide receivers, but would you move on from Ridley is the first question. And if you decide to do that, do you think they go offensive line? Or I also know they need depth at edge because Clavion Chasen, with Josh Allen, let's see, they had two other defensive ends that are free agents, and edge may be the look that they go for first, either edge
Trayvon
or
Walker
interior. Yeah,
is mm.
go ahead, bro.
My bad. I don't know. I think I cut out. Check
Yeah,
my
you had a slight cutout,
check.
but
Make
it's
sure my stuff
okay.
is good. Yeah, I thought so. Yeah, I was just
Yeah,
saying. I think it's Trayvon Walker is the other edge.
okay. Yeah, but I mean, the way they use him is a little different. Um, Let me see. I'm doing a little picking up my notes here, so just forgive me. Bear with me.
You're all right.
Uh, Cleveland is another unrestricted free language, along with Tyler Shoutley. That was the other name of the offensive line, where they're both their guards and
Mm-hmm.
their center have been shaky at best. Little balance as far as their performance, but at the center position in particularly is not been very good. And I in my opinion don't think that they want to
Mm.
stay in that position. If they don't look free agent, I think they may look their draft, because of the fact that this is a deep draft to get offensive weapons. I don't know if it's necessarily a big draft for your linemen. If you're looking for tackles or guards, I mean, I'll throw a name out here, and it's funny because I just mentioned Jacksonville, but he plays at Miami. He played at Miami. Last name Lee. He was at UCF before, Matt Lee. That would be a name I'd be intrigued to
Mm-hmm.
see if they look at. He's a center. He was a highly graded center at both UCF and then his 1 year at Miami. He was all conference. His PFF grade was solid. He was pretty stout. He's led all the offensive line. He don't give up a lot of sacks from his position. He's strong in
Right.
the run game. And that's one name I throw out there. I don't know. I know we're gonna have our section and our segues and where we go into our shows about the draft. But when little names just pop in my head, I'm gonna bring them up. And I think that would be a solid pickup. I don't know if it's first round, but that would be a name I would like to possibly see Jacksonville look into
I
at that
think that I
position of need.
believe, if I'm not mistaken, I believe there's probably two centers who are could be earlier picks.
Let's see.
Van Pelt, Van something from Georgia,
Okay, throw
and
that name out. I'll find it.
the other one's from Oregon. Oregon. I can't think of
Jackson.
his name. He
You
got
talking about
those one of those ones with three
Jackson?
names.
I'm sorry, but I know you're talking about, bro.
Mm,
It's Jackson Powers Johnson.
yeah,
That's who you
yeah.
mentioned there. Yeah,
Powers
Jackson
Johnson.
Powers
Powers
Johnson.
Johnson. Yeah.
Yeah, that's one name. And then the Georgia kid, his name it
Cedric
leaves my
Van
head, but I
something.
know Ben Prawn. Ben Prawn.
Okay.
I think that's who you're talking
Something like
about.
that.
Ben
Yeah.
Prawn. Something like that. But we're on the
Yeah.
same page, man. But yeah,
Yeah.
I believe that their number one need is O line. Uh, make sure you shore up that up the middle protection for Trevor. Because this is a deep draft, that you can get another complimentary back to Etienne, and you can find a good receiver if you want to shore up depth. But I also believe that they do need some depth help at in the secondary. Also, oh, definitely at edge. So if they don't
Hmm.
go edge first, they'll go interior offensive line, in my opinion. Uh, looking forward to what some of the other things they may need. Those are the two priorities I think they go. Um, you got anything to add before I close out and we move on to our final squad here for the AFC South?
I with Jacksonville, I'm I'm thinking I think they would probably want to re-sign Calvin Ridley. It was his first year back, from
Mm-hmm,
suspension. Um,
mm-hmm,
allow him and Trevor to continue to develop chemistry. Um,
mm-hmm,
possibly trying to re-sign or sign veteran offensive linemen
mm-hmm,
out, probably outside of the center. I don't think you want to go into the season with three teams with cap money and young quarterbacks who can build around their team. I don't think you want to go in
mm-hmm,
with the oldest quarterback, which he's still young, but the oldest
mm-hmm.
quarterback as far as experience in the NFL, put rookies in front of him. You know what I'm saying?
Understood. Yeah, I got you. I
Because
understand
you
that.
don't want the Indianapolis was right there with a backup quarterback. You see what Shane Steichen can do, and you
Mm-hmm,
saw what Houston's able to do with, and we're getting ready to talk about them with CJ
mm-hmm.
Stroud and D'Amico Ryan. So you want to stay in the
Yeah,
thick of things. You don't want to look up and end up where Tennessee was.
true. That's true.
So
I agree, man. So we'll segue since you just brought up Houston. We're going to segue to Houston, man. It's the team with that surprise. I mean, you probably have to say this was surprise of the NFL season. I'm like, you took a rookie quarterback and he probably had what we could consider an arguably the best rookie season of any
in
quarterback.
history.
Not yeah in history, and it's not just solely based on numbers because some rookie quarterbacks had better numbers or equal numbers. It was what he did. He put up the numbers, and they had game impact on his team winning to the point that they did make the playoffs. So I mean that was
Won the
big.
division.
And, yeah, and won the division, so everything is basically up from here. It's like one of them situations. It's not Kansas City, but if you want to say a
Mm-mm.
poor man's Kansas City situation where anything you add to him now, because he's already shown, you want to add pieces that continue to elevate the floor. I'm like, you look
Mm-hmm.
at the first thing I'm thinking of with the 23rd pick. Once again, weapon, wide receiver. I mean, he did good with Nico Collins. I know they had I know Dalton Schultz is a free agent. And what's it got on the defensive end? Sheldon Rankins is also a free agent.
Mm-hmm.
So most likely they're gonna only be able to tag one of those guys. So, and I'm looking at some of their needs is wide receiver, DB, and then O line. Um, would they look for a true number one in this situation to continue to help the development of CJ? You think?
Oh yeah, I was about to ask. Did you ask me? It cut out
Yeah,
just a
I'm sorry.
bit.
Yeah. Okay.
Um, I I wouldn't be shocked if they traded for a legit number one, someone like Stephon Diggs,
Devontae
someone
Adams.
like Stephon Diggs. Stephon Diggs is Devontae Adams. Now I
Mm-hmm.
have seen where they said the Raiders would not trade him. If he gets
Mm-hmm.
moved, I would assume he would get moved to New York with Aaron Rodgers. Um, but I never even considered Devontae Adams. I just considered Stephon Diggs because the last 2 years how things have looked.
Mm-hmm.
Buffalo's not in the they they're gonna have to unload some big contracts.
Mm-hmm.
Um, he was kind of getting phased. It seemed like he was being phased out of the games.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Stephon and his brother plays in Dallas. They'll both be in Texas,
Yeah.
and you're playing with CJ, who was considered the most accurate quarterback when he came out in the draft last year. And if I'm not mistaken, I think he threw 5-6 interceptions this year throughout the whole
Mm-hmm.
season. So
Mm-hmm.
you get him an actual number one that's only going to allow Nico Collins to continue to dominate with Tank Dell coming back from injury.
Mm-hmm.
So
That's good.
Saquon,
Um,
I could see them. I could see them going and getting him a top dog running back, Saquon Barkley or Derrick Henry, Austin Eckler.
mm-hmm.
It's a solid. That's why I said this division here is going to come down to who spins well and gets the
Mm-hmm.
impact players. And I know people are going to watch this like, duh, that's everywhere. But I'm speaking just particularly for these four teams. Three of them are on a rookie deal. Jacksonville's going to have to do something because if I'm not mistaken, this is the last year. They're either going to have to pick
Mm-hmm.
up Trevor Lawrence's option along with Trevor Etienne or Travis Etienne,
Mm-hmm.
or pay one of them and pick up the option. So
Yeah.
their money's about to get tight.
Yeah.
Their money's about to get tight. Right now, this could be the opportunity for Houston to kind of run away with the division, securing your rookie quarterback with a number one wide receiver and getting
Mm-hmm.
you a prominent running back.
That makes sense, man. Um, I will add though, I did see something where they mentioned it was mentioned that Texas, because D'Amico Ryan's, defensive coach, they could look for a complimentary cornerback on that other
Yeah,
side. I heard Kool-Aid's name thrown out there
Kool-Aid.
as a possibility, a possible target, for the secondary to go ahead and shore that up. Of course, they just drafted Edge last year, but they could look in that direction for the D tackle, the interior. So
Mhm.
it's something to keep an eye on. Of course, I believe that they will retain Rankins and Schultz. They'll probably be able to sign one and then probably have to tag another,
Mm,
which today is tag day, so it's something to watch
I for-
for the rest of this week.
yeah,
Uh,
I forgot about
cause yeah,
Dalton.
yeah, keeping
Mhm.
Dalton is the key because he was a good safety blanket and a good complement to what they had in Tank Dell and Collins. Uh, but you make a you make good analysis. I'm sorry for the bad for not getting my words right. It was a good analysis on the need at running back as a possible position that they'll look at too. But
One
go
more
ahead, you was
one
about to
more
say.
thing is one more thing that I'm sitting here
Mhm.
thinking because you said D'Amico Ryans, and I don't know why I didn't consider this. Instead of if they don't trade for Stephon Diggs, Brandon Ayuk is coming off his disgruntled 49er
Yeah.
ties. He's got 49er ties. We know he's a number
Wow.
one wide receiver. He's also
Hmm.
young. He's gonna bring some grittiness.
Yeah.
Everything that you see about CJ, even watching him in the All Star game and stuff, seeing him on different
Hmm.
podcasts and things, he
Hmm.
talks about having that dog in him. but he's talked
Mm.
about how he brings his teammates together and how they're all like legit a family, like brothers.
Yeah.
You get you a disgruntled wide receiver like Brandon Ayuk and get him down there in Houston because you're gonna be able. You're gonna be able to get you some running backs. You're gonna be able to build the offense that you want. And if you think
Yeah.
about it, because you already have CJ Dalton, Tank, Nico, that
Yeah.
offensive line is pretty solid. It's not like you're
Yeah.
missing something huge.
Yeah.
D'Amico's gonna be able to continuously build that defense because the defense is young too. They got the young Alabama linebackers.
Mm-hmm.
They got, I don't even think either of us mentioned it. They had the offensive rookie of the year as well as the defensive rookie of the year.
Look at a year. Exactly. This is amazing. They are in a position now where it's rare that you see a team that young be in a win now mode. Where you're in a win,
Right.
you basically you drafted yourself into a position where you're in a win now mode on a bunch of rookie contracts for the most part. So any of your veterans that
And
are good, you can retain them because you don't have to spend a lot of money on that big quarterback right now.
I told you when we did the AFC West, as we go on, we're
Mhm.
gonna see what teams or what quarterbacks you would like who can knock off the Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes.
Mhm.
CJ in a few games battled back
Mhm.
from deficit, showing ice water in his veins. I'm not saying that he can beat the Chiefs, but with the Chiefs needing to sign certain players and this team being so young,
Mhm.
so the chemistry being so strong, and they have their guy at quarterback,
Mhm.
you drop them a number one wide receiver or just another decent weapon. They don't have to go out and get a Brandon Ayuk or Stephon Diggs. They can draft something like we talked about. This is a solid draft.
Mhm. Yeah.
This is a solid free agency with running backs: Josh Jacobs, Saquon
Mhm.
Barkley, Derrick Henry, Austin Eckler. Those are some big
Tony
names.
Pollard. Mhm.
Tony Pollard. Those are some big name backs. Zach Moss from the Colts. Zach Moss from the
Yeah.
Colts was a dog while Jonathan Taylor was out.
Yeah.
So, and based off the Shanahan system, you can get you some running backs, and they will produce. So they are one of the teams that could potentially be a threat to the Chiefs. And I know it's crazy to hear because it's crazy to say with
Mhm.
them being as young as they are. With them being as young as they are, rookie head coach, rookie quarterback, rookie led defense, and you won your division and was a playoff team.
Yeah. It's only up for them right now
That's only
because you
up,
still
right?
got other building, and then the only other team that has any veterans, they're facing in Jacksonville possible cap stress coming within the next, not this season, but the following, this next off season. It's going to be
Mm-hmm.
some decisions that's going to have to be made with certain personnel. So I get you.
And they kept all their
Well,
coaches, all the continuity across the board. That was my
yeah,
last thing.
yeah.
All the continuity across
They
the
did
board.
keep their continent. They did keep their continuity. It makes me a little envious, being that the team in Texas is looking real promising, isn't the Dallas Cowboys as far as being young and being able to grow and getting out of their own way, and you see that and you're like, God. But anyways, that's another topic. We'll talk about that when we get to the NFC East. But that will conclude this episode as we've broken down an outlook for the AFC South. We will continue to move forward as we touch on the NFC West. We're going to shoot another show. We thank everyone for watching. Make sure that you like,
Thank you.
share,
Thank you.
and subscribe. We really appreciate it. Um, thank you very much, and peace out.